Well, hello, Jenny. Or is it Jenee? I can't really tell by your spelling. Or Dahlia Rose, however you prefer to be addressed. This is your new Morse sewing machine. And before we do anything else, we're going to go over how to oil her. She's been on the shelf for a little while, and anytime your machine's been sitting for 3 months or more and you're ready to start sewing, you should go through and put a drop of oil in every oiling point, because the oil does eventually evaporate. When you're sewing, every 8 hours or so of sewing, like if you sew an hour a day for 8 days or 4 hours on 2 different days, you should go through and give her an oiling. There are several, excuse me, sorry about that. There's several oiling points on the top. You can see the oil holes. There's one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. And a hole there that you can go down through to reach another part that I'll show you from the back. Behind the faceplate, there are several oiling points that you're going to want to get. If you turn the hand wheel and look inside, you'll see where all the parts move and slide through a hole or rotate against each other. Each of those points where things move against each other needs a drop of oil. And in a lot of them, there's a little tiny oil hole that you can see that'll help you know. There's one that it's a little hard to see, but if you follow this take-up lever, the thing goes up and down, back to this corner over here, there's a oiling point back in there where this thing connects. The needle bar that goes up and down through that hole needs a drop of oil where it goes down into that hole and where it goes up into this sleeve here. And I always reach in and put a drop of oil back here behind this big cam, which is on the end of the shaft that goes all the way through from the motor to the front end. Under here, under the needle plate, is your bobbin case. There's a little latch on the front of the bobbin case. You pull out the latch, and with the needle up out, you can't do it with the needle down. Pull the bobbin case out. Loosen this big thumb screw here, and you can pull off the retainer and pull out the hook. This thing with a little point on the end is the hook that picks up the needle off the thread and wraps it around the bobbin to bring up your lower thread. And that's the hook driver there, going back and forth. You can maybe see the tip of the needle coming down. But where that hook rides in this little race here needs a drop of oil. So I usually put a drop of oil. I use a little dauber. You'll probably use an oiler that you can pick up from any craft store. Put a few little drops. Sorry, I didn't get no oil that first time. Just put a few little drops in about 3 places. A couple drops on the outside here. A couple drops on the top of the part that rides on that little shelf there, and the part that's going to be riding against the retainer. So on both sides there's this little ridge here. Then you put it back in here with the tips of the hook against that half moon driver. Make sure the needle's up out of the way. and it'll slip right in there. And then there are 2 alignment pegs here and 2 alignment holes in the retainer. Line the retainer up with those holes and the big thumb screw towards the bottom. Put that back on. Finger tighten this little thumb screw. Okay. Behind the faceplate door, we're going to put a drop of oil down here at the bottom of the needle bar, one at the top here. I'm going to turn this until we see the oil holes in the links here. Put a drop there, put a drop there, and like I said, I always reach in and put a drop way in the back, just right at the top of that big cam there. And it's kind of hard to see, but if you look in this side, you'll see a little round pin that goes in through the other end of this take-up lever. And put a drop on that. Turn it a few times to work the oil in. This is your pressure bar that lifts the pressure foot up and down. Get my hand out of the way you can see it. So that pressure bar gets a drop of oil right at the bottom. And then right at the top as well, down through this. This is your sewing foot pressure adjuster. There's a little latch here that you push and it pops it up, spring loaded. Then you push it down to add pressure. Pop it up to let off all the pressure here if you're going to do machine embroidery or darning or any mending. When you sew, when it's up like that for darning and mending, then you're the one moving the fabric around rather than the teeth of the feed dogs. When you're ready to go back to regular sewing, you push this about halfway down, and then the machine will move the fabric instead of you. Next to it here is the top of the needle bar. I put a drop in that oil hole, a drop in that oil hole, drop in that oil hole, and a drop in that oil hole. Your bobbin winder, which is right here, has a little oil hole in the side. Put a drop of oil right there at the oil hole of the bobbin winder. And turn the rubber tire a couple of times to work the oil in. Now we're going to get to the things underneath. To do that, you tip the machine back. And again, turn the hand wheel and watch what moves. And that'll give you a pretty good indication of where the oil needs to go. There are several oil holes, but those are not the only places you oil. This shaft that comes down here works this cam back and forth, so it rotates right here. This shaft coming down here rotates right here. And at the ends of these pieces that get rotated, there are little needle and cup bearings. You don't need to really know what those are, you just know that you need to put a drop of oil at each end of that piece that rotates. There's an oil hole here that goes all the way down through to this fork down here that has a slide in it that moves up and down as this thing rotates. And this oil hole is just to get oil down there to that fork. You can also reach in from the side and put a little oil on the slide. Again, where this shaft comes down, the needle bearing here, needle bearing at the other end. Back here, there are two needle bearings on this piece that is what actually moves the feed dogs. And so it back behind this big long shaft here, there are two spots that need to be oiled at the ends of that smaller shaft back in there. And that leads up here to a bearing that is actually on your feed dogs. So you want to put a drop of oil behind that bearing where it turns, and also on the outside of that bearing, the little wheel, where this fork moves it. You'll see an oil hole here and an oil hole here for this long shaft. Put a drop in that oil hole, and drop in that oil hole. This long shaft here, of course, has needle bearings at both ends, so you put a drop here, and a drop here. For good measure, I usually put a drop at the ends of that shaft where it goes into the bearing. Then you spin it and see if there's anything you missed. Ah, look right there, this thing rotates. So right there where it rotates, gets a little drop of oil. That piece, by the way, is what raises and lowers the feed dogs. When you're going to do free motion sewing or embroidery, as well as pop up the presser adjuster at the very top, you're also going to drop the feed dogs. And that is accomplished by turning this knob down here on the bed. It's got three settings: normal, silk, and embroidery. Normal is just for regular sewing. The feed dogs come all the way up. They grab your fabric and move it along for every stitch. If you're sewing a delicate fabric like silk that could be marred by the teeth of the feed dog, and you don't want quite as much of the feed dog coming up and touching the fabric, you turn this one click to silk, and then feed dogs still come up, but they don't come up quite as far. Then you turn it all the way over to embroidery, and the feed dogs just never come up above the needle plate and don't touch the fabric at all. And again, you're the one moving the fabric and not the feed dogs. Then for regular sewing, you turn it back to normal. Press your presser adjuster down roughly halfway, and then the machine is moving your fabric again. But I mentioned that at that moment because that knob that adjusts the feed dogs is right here. It spins here, and this rod goes in and out to lock your feed dogs in place. So you want to put a drop of oil here, and with the feed dog in the embroidery position, so it's pulled back out of that block that it goes into, put a drop of oil right here, and that lubricates the shaft, goes in and out of that block. Now, block, of course, is connected to your feed dogs, and it's right there next to that little bearing that we oiled earlier. It's all one piece. This rod is going into the back of that block holds that bearing that we oiled a minute ago. This, of course, is the hook that we oiled earlier. When you oil it, you should also take off this plate here. Raise your feed dogs. There are 2 screws here that hold this plate on. Small screws, real easy operation. You just be careful not to lose those screws. So you take those 2 screws out, lift off your needle plate, and with some sort of little brush, you just brush the dust and lint out of your feed dogs. If you have a vacuum handy, it's good to vacuum the dust while you're brushing it, so it gets up out of that area. Then you just put the needle plate back on, and it's real easy. It'll line up with the 2 holes and the teeth of the feed dogs, which also come up through that plate. You just put your screws back in. And some people go for years and years and years without ever oiling their machine, and these old machines are built so well that they just keep on ticking. But if you want your machine to last forever and ever, oil it every 8 or so hours of sewing. Brush the dust and lint out of the feed dogs, because that fabric dust, especially polyester, which most thread is nowadays, is abrasive. Again, take years to do any damage, but if you want your machine to last forever, take care of it. We're going to put the bobbin back in with that thumb on top sticking up, because there's a cutout for it in there that it goes into to keep the bobbin case from turning while you're sewing. Hold that latch out, and with the needle up in the up position, just slide that onto the shaft in the middle until it clicks into place. And that's it. On the back here is an inspection plate. It's another thumb screw. You just screw it out. Don't lose the little washer that's behind it. And in here you'll see all the parts that move and spin and make things happen. Most of these parts get oiled through these little tiny oil holes. This larger hole on top corresponds to this piece right here. This big piston looking thing. And if you look at it down here, it's got an oil hole in the top of it. And I usually oil it from here because I can see right into it. Put a drop, maybe even 2 drops in there. I put an extra drop in the cam that spins inside this yoke here. And I put a drop where this main shaft that goes through here goes through the back of the housing towards your hand wheel. Right where it goes in, I put an extra drop right there. It gets oiled from this oil hole at the top, but just me, that's what I do. This yoke here that moves around this cam, connects right down here, and you'll see the place where it connects. You put a drop right there. Your motor has an oil hole at each end. You do not want to over oil your motor. If you put more than a couple of drops in there, oil's going to get in your brushes, and as your motor gets hot while you're sewing, it's going to smoke and stink, and you don't want that. So one drop in this oil hole here, and one drop in that oil hole there. My oil is low. I didn't pick up any oil that first time, so this is still the first drop I'm putting in this hole. That's it. That's how you oil your machine. And it's worth the trouble. This is a wonderful precision machine. It's going to last you for the rest of your life, and then you'll pass it on to somebody you love. This is your light switch up here. This is your light switch up front. It's a push button. So I have the presser foot lifted up a little bit so your feed dogs are not grinding on the bottom of it while we just run it. Work that oil in a little bit. So you saw your feed drop here, normal silk embroidery. You saw your sewing foot pressure here. This is your thread tension for your upper thread. We'll go over that more when after we wind a bobbin, when we actually thread the machine. So to wind a bobbin, you know where your bobbin case is. Pull the little latch out. First get the needle up out of the way. Pull your bobbin case out. And as long as you're holding that latch out, your bobbin won't drop out. So let go of the latch. Drop the bobbin into your hand. And this bobbin is absolutely full, so I'm not going to take all that thread off. Okay. I'll get another one. So your bobbin, you'll find your bobbin in your bobbin case. This is your bobbin winder here. You're going to start by turning the chrome knob in the center of the hand wheel towards you, 1/8 of a turn or so, till you feel it hit the stop. This spool pin down here is for your bobbin winder. You put your spool thread on the spool pin. Go in behind this little tension device here. And before you put the bobbin on the bobbin winder, put the thread through one of the holes in the side of the bobbin. Doesn't matter which one. From the inside towards the out. Hold the thread with your finger and put a few wraps on the bobbin just to hold the thread in place while it winds. Now turn it so that the thread is going on over the top this way. Slide it onto the bobbin winder and turn the bobbin winder until you feel the little keeper pin go into the slot in the side of the bobbin. Take up the slack Make sure it's still in behind your little tension device here. And then give it a little gas. Oh, sorry. Push it in so the rubber tire comes in contact with the hand wheel. Then we're not going to put a whole bunch of thread on there. That was just a demonstration. So I'm actually going to take that thread back off. We'll send you with a pristine empty bobbin. You can put whatever color on it you're sewing with. We'll send you with an extra couple of bobbins. So with the thread coming off the top of your bobbin in this direction, drop the bobbin into the bobbin case and direct the thread up into this little tiny slot on the side here and up under the flat leaf spring, which is your lower tension. And then when you pull on the thread, you'll feel just a little bit of drag on your thread. And that's what pulls the thread down into your fabric as you sew. With the needle up, out of the way, and the thumb pointing up, push it in until you feel it click into place. There we go. To thread the machine, I'm going to put some felt on here. These keep your bobbin from freewheeling, spinning by itself for the momentum. Good thing to have them in place. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is your spool pin. When you put it away, if you want to, you can push it down and get it out of the way. So you just give it a little pull and it pops back up. Put your spool on the spool pin. Go from the spool pin into this thread guide on the front here. I guess you have to poke it through that thread guide. Go from the spool to this thread guide and down into the slot on the tension device. And come all the way around. Oh. Avoid this thread guide down here for the moment. Go all the way around the bobbin, the tension device to the top again and pick up this little thin check spring. There we go. Then when you pull the thread, you'll see your check spring move. You know you got it right. Now you go into that big thread guide and up to the take-up lever. Again, the thing that goes up and down. And through the take-up lever from the right towards the left. You pull on it and again you see your check spring move up and down. Go into this thread guide here, this thread guide down here. And then there's one more thread guide on your needle clamp. Oh, forgot to mention, retighten the clutch knob. And go into this little curly Q thread guide on the needle clamp. Then through the eye of the needle, from the left to the right towards the inside of the machine. And I'll get my head out of the way here in just a minute. cut a fresh end on your thread, because if it's frayed, the little fibers will push the thread away from the needle hole. Alright. Turn it so I can see what I'm doing. If you're having trouble seeing the eye of the needle when you're threading, put a piece of paper behind it, a piece of white paper, and all of a sudden the eye of the needle stands out, and it's a lot easier to poke your thread through it. Make sure that you're still in all your thread guides and that you haven't accidentally rewrapped the thread around something by mistake. Now, holding your needle thread loosely, turn the hand wheel towards you, one full revolution. Your needle's going to take it down, and that hook is going to pick up the thread from the needle, wrap it around the bobbin, and bring up your lower thread. See, there's your lower thread. You certainly don't need that much lower thread. Your tension device, when I restore a machine, I usually make it so that the tension should be right around 3 for regular thread and regular fabric. So set your tension on about 3, and we're ready to sew. This is your stitch length over here. There's a center line here, and at that center line, the feed dogs are not moving the fabric either forward or reverse. The fabric's just staying in one spot, and if you keep sewing with your fabric not moving, the thread's going to build up on the bottom below the needle plate and make a clump, and then your fabric won't be able to move at all. So you want to make sure your fabric's moving while you're sewing. Anyway, from the center line where the fabric doesn't move at all, going down, your stitches get longer and longer and longer and longer till all the way at the bottom are your longest stitches. From that center point going up, your stitches get longer and longer and longer and longer until at the top you have your longest stitches in reverse. So we're going to go down to about the O1 forward there. That's between the O and the R maybe. And that should give a pretty good average stitch for regular thread and fabric. If you want your stitches to be exactly the same length in forward and reverse, then you can turn this knob until the until you feel it contact the lever here, and then your stitches, if you go into reverse, will be the same length in reverse as in forward. But I'm just going to leave it wide open so you can go wherever you want. So like I said, I'm going to go about between the O and the R on the word forward. So we're going to give it a little gas, and away we go. Okay, again, from the spool to this thread guide, through the slot of the tension device all the way around to the top. Make sure you catch the check spring. Go under this big thread guide, then through the take-up lever from left to right. Then catch this thread guide, this thread guide, this thread guide on the needle. And then go through the eye of the needle from left to right. piece of white paper behind the needle really makes the eye easy to see. Hold your thread loosely, turn the hand wheel towards you 1 full revolution, bring up your thread, put the thread between the toes of the presser foot and towards the back, and put your fabric under the presser foot, lower the pressure foot, lifting, using the lever on the back. Okay, so again, 3 is going to be your average tension. And then if you need a little more or a little less tension, you'll be able to tell by looking at the bottom of your fabric. And if your stitches look nice and you got the tension right. If they're loose and loopy, add a little more tension. If it feels like if it just looks like it's too tight, then back off the tension a little bit. But it looks like 3 is about it for your regular threaded fabric. Reverse, whoop, forward, reverse, forward. I think that's about everything. Okay, I see that the one thing on your list that I didn't cover is needles. The type of needles that you want to use are 15 by 1 needles. They also are called different names because of the different by the different manufacturers, different systems. It's also called the 130/708 needle, or size 90. But if you remember 15x1, that's the size of needle you want to use. And use a good brand name like Schmetz is good, Singer needles are good, any brand name. If you use cheap needles, you may have problems. Your needle has a flat side and a round side. When you put your needle in, you want the flat side to face the inside of the machine and the round side to face that way. So you just loosen this set screw up, and you'll probably have to put the tip of the needle down into the needle hole to get low enough. Then just come right up with the flat side facing this way, the round side facing that way. Push it all the way up until it hits its stop, and then tighten the needle clamp down again. You'll find good quality needles in just about every department store, craft store, sewing store, or even online. Schmetz is the brand that I always use. I don't see anything here that we've forgotten to mention. But you have got a really great machine here. This is one of the finest. The mid-century Japanese machines are just some of the best. High quality, good looking. Yeah, I think you're going to be very happy together. And we'll get her packed up and ship her out to you. Thanks for sticking with me through all this blather. I did have my coffee this morning, but I'm not really hitting on all 4 cylinders yet. If this is somebody else who has found this video online, because we're going to post it onto YouTube for the sake of other Morse owners that need a little direction in getting started. We are Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and we restore worthy sewing machines. We've been doing it since the 1990s, and we're very good at it. We've restored well over 1,000 machines. We ship them off all over the country and beyond. People ship machines to us from all over the country to be restored. Right now, I'm not using the website. The website's been kind of a pain in the neck, and so we're just listing our machines on Etsy.com right now. If you go to Etsy.com and look for Stagecoach Road Sewing, that's where you'll find us. Or under Vintage Sewing Machines, look for Stagecoach Road Sewing. And there you're going to see lots of beautiful machines that are available for you to bring home to your sewing room. If you have your own machine, the machine that you got when you graduated high school, or mom's machine or grandma's machine, and you want to have her brought back to her youthful best, send us an email. We are SRVSew at gmail.com. That's Sam Robert Victor Sam Edward Walter at gmail.com. SRVSew. And let us know that you have a machine that you want fixed up, and we'll tell you what you need to do. That's about it. And yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate your patronage. It's what we love to do, and your patronage helps us to keep doing it. All right.